Our next speaker is Jochen Gerber, a glass model of slug anatomy.
Greetings. I guess it comes up sometime. The father and son team of Leopold and Rudolf Blaschka were glass artisans in Dresden, Germany. And while also producing more ordinary goods such as laboratory ware and glass eyes, they became famous for their intricate and lifelike glass models of invertebrates and plants. More than 600 different invertebrate models were produced between 1863 and 1890, and it has been estimated that during this period the Blaschkas manufactured between 10 and 15,000 invertebrate models, which were purchased by at least 179 museums all over the world, as well as universities and a couple of private customers. About 140 glass models of invertebrates were purchased for the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, also known as the World's Columbian Exposition. Do we have to do something about this?
Oh, just push
Okay. There you go. So 140 of these glass models were purchased for the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1893 from Ward's Natural Science Establishment in Rochester, New York, who was the North American distributor for the Blaschka models. Should probably talk into that thing. The majority of the Chicago models are still on display at the Field Museum today. While the Blaschka's zoological output is usually referred to as glass models of marine invertebrates, a small number of land and freshwater forms are also represented. Most of these are fairly simple compared with the often incredibly complex models of marine species. However, the Field Museum has two extremely detailed and accurate models of the inner anatomy of land gastropods, which I, as somebody who studies snails and slugs, admired from the moment I first laid eyes on them 20 years ago. One is of the escargot Helix pomatia, the other, shown here, of a large European slug of the genus Arion. With 13.5 centimeters length, the model is roughly life-size. It shows in minute detail the alimentary and reproductive tracts of this hermaphroditic slug, as well as the central nervous system, which is that transparent tan thing under the bulb numbered with 1. And the major nerves that radiate out from the cerebral ganglion have a width of just 0.4 to 0.7 millimeters. And it is indeed a testament to the Blaschka's incredible craftsmanship that they could manage such delicate features in glass. The large Arion species of Europe have had a rather turbulent taxonomic history. Hence, our model has been called 3 different names. Ward Sales Catalog of the Blaschka models calls it Arion empiricorum. The two Field Museum labels call it Arion rufus and Arion ater, respectively. And while the name Arion empiricorum had been relegated to synonymy by the early 1900s, the meaning and validity of the other two names has been hotly debated for a century. Currently, Arion ater and Arion rufus are considered separate species. Contrary to the suggestion by their names, ater meaning black and rufus meaning red, color is useless for their distinction. Anatomical differences, besides nowadays DNA of course, are the deciding factors, and thanks to the accuracy of our model, we can, by the thick and squat genital atrium, which I point out in a second, determine that what we have before us is in fact a model of Arion rufus. Thank you. This thing here is the genital atrium. It's long and slender, it's upper, it's short and squat.